Wow. 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 I just watched The Mandalorian season finale, and I don't know what to say. I'm kind of speechless, to be honest. I have not felt this way about Star Wars. I'm talking about the entire season of season 2 of Mandalorian since I was a kid. Like, season 2 of The Mandalorian is the best freaking Star Wars I have seen since I was a kid. It is phenomenal. I cannot believe how unbelievably good season 2 of The Mandalorian was. This final episode, it just absolutely shits on everything 7, 8, and 9 is. I mean, everything about those movies is so wrong, and everything about just 5 minutes of this show is so right. This episode was great. It completely caught me off guard at the end. I am blown away. Completely blown away. I have so many extra questions now. Oh man, this is what Star Wars should have been. I really wish Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau would have been in charge from the very beginning, and we would have actually gotten some good movies, and 7, 8, and 9 would have been their vision from the start, because oh man. Okay. Well, I'm gonna get into some spoilers about this episode, so if you guys haven't seen the episode, stop this video. I don't know why you haven't seen it yet. Go freaking watch it, because it's phenomenal, and then come back and watch this video. But alright, this episode was intense. I don't even know where to start. I just want to break the episode down piece by piece. The very beginning starts off with them capturing the scientists. So right off the bat, there's action. Boba Fett's chasing him down on the Slave One, which I love, by the way. Anytime they show Boba Fett in this season, I get excited. I'm anything to do with Boba Fett, I'm oh hell yeah, there's Boba Fett, or there's the Slave One, or just Boba Fett walking around and existing makes me happy for some reason. I just love that Boba Fett is kind of getting his time to shine. I think that's just awesome. Slave One shows up, they capture the scientist, and they devise this plan, and they go and they meet up with Bo-Katan and stuff. And then you have that little bit of tension between all of them, and Boba Fett gets some fighting action in, and Bo-Katan mentions that he's a clone, and she has a little jab at Boba Fett about how Jango wasn't his dad, he was just his donor, and oh my god. I loved everything about this episode. So then they form their plan about how they're going to get Grogu back, and they use that one ship as bait, and they have Boba Fett come in, and he acts like he's trying to shoot him down, but he's missing on purpose, and they use that as a strategy to sort of board onto the ship. But then once they board the ship, they release the Dark Troopers. Oh my god, those Dark Troopers are freaking beast. What I loved about the Dark Troopers in this episode was that they really made you have this sense of fear when you saw the Dark Troopers. They're just big, massive, bulky, they can take hits. One of them by themselves almost defeated Mando. It was beating the crap out of Mando. I thought for sure he was going to break his helmet, but then he was able to get the upper hand, and he eventually took out one of them with the Beskar spear. But then he pulled the lever on the door, and it sucked all the rest of them out into space, and I was a little bit disappointed there. I was well, that was kind of anticlimactic that they had all of these, badass kind of robots, and then they just instantly died like that. I thought that was kind of dumb. So I was a little let down at that point, but then he shows up, and he's trying to rescue Grogu, and he's got this showdown with Moff Gideon, because Moff Gideon somehow apparently knows everything under the sun. I don't know how Moff Gideon knows anything and everything at all times. He must be one with the Force or something, because I don't know how the hell he knows some of the things that he knows, but for some reason he knows everything. So then he tricks Mando into thinking he can just leave peacefully, and then he pulls out the Darksaber and he's trying to fight Mando, and Mando's deflecting all the hits. He's in this epic fight. He's using the Beskar spear, and every time he's deflecting the Darksaber with the spear looks like it's going to break in half because of all the heat from the Darksaber. And oh man, it was so good. It was so badass. Mando actually took a beating in this episode. There was multiple times where I thought Mando wasn't going to make it. I mean, because he was getting the crap kicked out of him. But eventually Mando does get the upper hand, and he takes Moff Gideon hostage. But of course, Moff Gideon gets the last laugh, because we find out since Moff Gideon was defeated, now Mando is the owner of the Darksaber. And since he is the owner of the Darksaber, that means Bo-Katan has to defeat him in battle to claim the Darksaber. Which is a bit of a plot twist there. Of course, Mando just wants to hand over the Darksaber, but that's not how it works. She must defeat him in battle to claim the Darksaber and take back over Mandalore. But at the same time, that's kind of dumb. I don't know why they're putting so much emphasis on that. I mean, there's only like, what, 5 of them, 6 of them in that room? He could have just handed her the Darksaber and she could have been like, oh, I have the Darksaber. I guess it's because this is the way and she has to earn it in combat. So I thought that they were going to have a fight just right then and there, and she was going to try to take the Darksaber from him. But that was cut short because the Dark Troopers actually showed back up. They came back from outer space and they all just flew back to the ship and they boarded onto the ship through the hangar. So I was like, okay, I could kind of forgive them for sucking them out into space. I mean, these guys are more badass than I thought. I'm glad to see that these guys are actually going to get their chance to shine. And it looks like they're completely outnumbered. They're beating on the door, they're breaking through, and it doesn't look good for our heroes. They're sitting up in the cockpit. There's no way for them to escape. And then suddenly, one X-Wing shows up. Just one X-Wing. And as soon as that one X-Wing showed up, I thought, well, maybe it was just a scout and they're going to bring reinforcements. But then as soon as she said, ooh, what is one X-Wing going to do? And I saw the one X-Wing land in the hangar, I instantly thought it was Luke. But I was torn at the same time. I thought it was going to be Luke. But then there was also a part of me that was like, there's no way it can be Luke. It doesn't make any sense. They can't possibly have Luke. Then he got out and he walked down the hallway wearing Jedi robes. And I was like, oh my God, that's freaking Luke Skywalker. No way is that Luke Skywalker. And he walks down the hallway, pulls out his lightsaber, and starts shredding these dark troopers like they're nothing. He's just cutting through them and tearing them up with the Force. It's basically the opposite of the Rogue One scene, except now it's Luke instead of Darth Vader, and instead of slaughtering rebels, he's slaughtering a whole hallway of dark troopers. I had goosebumps the entire time. The entire sequence. I was like, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. This is what I expected from Star Wars. This is what I always wanted to see as a kid, thinking, what's going to happen after episode 6? I wonder if Luke's going to be this amazing Jedi. I always imagined Luke would get his time to shine and he'd be this badass. And then The Last Jedi came along and absolutely ruined Luke. They destroyed Luke's character in episode 8 and I was so disappointed. But in this episode, we got a glimpse of what I expected Luke to be, and it was so amazing. The little 10-year-old inside of me is screaming and crying with joy, thank God we finally got to see Luke do something. So he shreds through the entire hallway, and then he gets in the elevator, and it's slowly going up, and as soon as the elevator opens, it's pretty much the same as Rogue One. He's just fighting his way through the entire hallway. It's basically a mirror of the Rogue One scene. He's tearing people up. He grabs one of them by the Force and throws him, grabs another one, slices him, grabs the final one and just completely crushes it like it's nothing. And he just defeats the entire hallway of Dark Troopers. And it was phenomenal. So then they open the door and the smoke clears and he's standing there with his green lightsaber. And then he walks in the doorway and raises up his hood, and it's him. I mean, it's Luke Skywalker. Now, this part, I didn't know how to feel about this. Because with the time gap, it obviously had to be a younger Luke. It wasn't like the old, scruffy, depressed Luke that we saw in Episode 8. It had to be one closer to Episode 6 because of the timeline that we're in. So it had to be a young Luke. But I don't know how they did this. I don't know if they had an actor and then they did CGI over his face. I don't know if they took Mark Hamill and CGI'd his face. I don't know what they did, but It didn't look perfect. I mean, you could definitely tell that something was up, and I didn't really want to put too much focus on Luke, and his voice even sounded a little bit off. I'm really interested to see the behind the scenes to that, because I want to know what they did exactly to try to get Luke to be younger. But I'm really hoping that they just used Mark Hamill and they tried to do some like de-aging technology on him. I would say it's comparable to like the CGI Leia in Rogue One. Like, it looked good, but it wasn't perfect. But either way, it was enough for me. Like, I didn't really care too much about him not looking perfect. I was so excited that we actually got to see Luke. And then R2 shows up and gets more screen time than like the past 3 movies, 7, 8, and 9. Like, R2 just showing up and existing and beeping a couple times is more than what he did in 7, 8, and 9, so I'm thankful for that as well. And he just picks up Grogu or Baby Yoda or whatever you want to call him, and he's like, I'll train him, and walks away, and that's the end of the episode. Mando took off his helmet, and they're all staring at him, and they're basically just saying goodbye, and brings up like a million more questions. I want to know what Luke was thinking. Like, he heard the cry from Grogu, he went and saved Grogu, and then he saw him, and I wonder if he was like, oh my god, that's like a Baby Yoda. Like, I want to know what's going through Luke's head at this point. But then what happens to him down the road? Like, if Luke starts up a Jedi temple and he's training all these young Jedi, and then all the young Jedi end up getting killed, and then you have the whole Kylo Ren thing and Snoke, and you guys know what unfortunately happens. If he's training Grogu, does Grogu eventually die? Because that's going to kind of suck. Like, everything that we love about The Mandalorian just eventually gets killed off in 7 and 8. That would be pretty dumb. So, I don't know. There's a million questions. Like, where do they go from here with The Mandalorian? Like, with Season 3, what could they possibly do since, you know, Baby Yoda was kind of the focus? The whole point of the show was, you know, to get Baby Yoda from point A to point B, and then now he's where he should be. I mean, you know he's in good hands. He's with freaking Luke Skywalker. But at the same time, it's kind of bittersweet. It's like you're saying goodbye to Baby Yoda, but you know he's in a good place at the same time. Like, I knew he couldn't stay with Mando because it just didn't really make sense for them to be together. But where does Mando go from here? I don't know. Does he do stuff with Bo-Katan? Is there the drama with Bo-Katan? Are they going to fight it out? Is Mando going to try to, like, rule Mandalore? Who knows? But I think it was great. I loved it. I love seeing Luke Skywalker get his couple minutes to shine. Oh, man. I'm so grateful that I got to see this after, like, 20-some years. Yeah, easily 20 years. It's been 20 years. I've wanted to see Luke Skywalker get some action, and I finally got to see it. I finally got to see it. I don't care if he was just killing droids. Him just being on screen and killing stuff with his lightsaber is enough for me. I thought it was great. I love this entire season. They brought Boba Fett back. They brought Luke Skywalker in. Got to see R2-D2. The seismic charge from Boba Fett's ship. The whole season was amazing. Great. Like 10 out of 10 for the season. Loved it. Loved every single episode. This is what I want from Star Wars. Please, please continue what you're doing with this season going forward. This is the way. This is the way. 7, 8, 9's not the way. This is the way. But that's going to do it for my thoughts on The Mandalorian Season 2 and the season finale. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. Now we just need them to announce another Star Wars video game as like a cherry on top. That would be pretty great. But I will talk to you guys later. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode as much as I did, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.